Curriculum vitae. A CV, short for curriculum vitae, is an expanded version of your resume, usually used for academic, research, and scientific positions. It is also used in applying for grants. It is common for employers in Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Middle East to request a CV rather than a resume. A CV is significantly longer than a resume. A resume is generally 1 page long. A CV, depending on how long your career has been and how much you have accomplished, may extend to over 20 pages. A CV typically includes a list of publications, awards, service activities, honors, affiliations, licenses, and other information relevant to the position you are seeking. Overseas, CVs also include more personal information than resumes, including date of birth, nationality, and place of birth. Resumes for recent graduates. Recent graduates obviously have less work experience than people who have been in the workforce for several years. Don't worry. No one expects you to show 20 years of experience on the job. Instead, begin your resume with an objective section that states what kind of job you're looking for. Next, describe your most recent and important activity, your education. Consider creating a section called Relevant Coursework, in which you briefly discuss any classes you took that have particular relevance to the job you're applying for. Describe relevant independent study projects. Describe your senior project. List internships and volunteer work in separate sections. If your GPA is 3.0 or higher, list it. Include any academic honors you've received. You see, you've done more than you thought. For a sample, and for more information, refer back to the section Academic Resume. Career Changer Resumes. People who are changing careers or re-entering the workforce after an absence face special challenges. Incorporate an objective into your resume that states explicitly what kind of job you're looking for. Just glancing over your past experience will not give a reader a sense of where you want to go professionally. 3 resume mistakes that can scuttle your job application. Creating a good resume takes time and effort. Avoiding these 3 common mistakes can help keep yours out of the reject pile. Failing to adapt your resume to the specific job you're applying for. No matter how many resumes you send out, each one must be tailored to match the requirements of the job. Failing to include keywords from the job description in your resume. Many companies use an automated tool to scan incoming resumes. If your resume doesn't contain the keywords the machine is looking for, it may never be viewed by a human. Allowing typos, spelling errors, and grammar errors to remain on the resume. Recruiters and hiring managers are often looking for any possible excuse to eliminate a resume from consideration. You could be the best fit in the world for the job, but if your resume is sloppy, it will likely be discarded. Using keywords to write a winning resume. Your resume is your personal marketing brochure. Unfortunately, unless you follow some basic guidelines, it may not even be read by a human. When you are drafting your resume in response to a specific job ad, consider who you are writing it for. As with any piece of marketing material, you need to imagine yourself walking in the shoes of the reader, your customer. When you submit your resume, you may be one of scores, if not hundreds of applicants, all hoping for a precious interview. The only thing that will differentiate you from the others is your ability to show, through your resume, that you are uniquely qualified for the role. Therefore, the words you choose for your resume are critical. Many recruitment agencies use software to scan job applications electronically, looking for keywords that are specific to the role advertised. If your resume does not contain the correct keywords for that role, no human eyes will ever see it. Job ads use very few words, and all are important. To make sure your resume is read by a human, you must use the specific keywords in the job ad. In the case where the recruiter does not use software to pre-screen applications, your resume may be sitting in a stack of 50 to 60 others. Make it easy for a tired and bored recruiter to notice that you are the best qualified for the role. Again, including the specific keywords from the job ad into your resume. Consider italicizing some of these keywords to draw the reader's eye to them and to make it even easier for your recruiter to choose you over all the others. Good luck. Liz Cassidy is a speaker, facilitator, and executive leadership coach, and the author of Job Interview Questions and Answers. Her website is www.lizcassidy.com. Interview follow-up. You've just had a good interview for a job you really want. It's not only good manners to send a follow-up to the person who interviewed you, but it's also good strategy to help you get the job. A follow-up offers you a chance to thank the interviewer, reaffirm your interest in the position, and share any information about yourself and your experience that you didn't cover during the interview. It's just one more opportunity to show yourself in a good light to a prospective employer. If you have the email address of the person who interviewed you, it's fine to send this thank you as an email rather than a hard copy. If there were several people at the interview, be sure to copy all of them on your thank you message. Introduction. A follow-up letter or email after an interview can serve several purposes, demonstrating that you understand how to behave professionally and courteously, reaffirming your interest in the job, and highlighting your experience and your background. Consider your reader when you write a follow-up. Everyone is busy, especially people who are hiring to fill positions, so keep your message brief and focused. The recipient will be regarding you as a potential colleague. This is a chance to show her that you can write concisely, specifically, and courteously. A good follow-up message can set you apart from other job applicants, so be sure to put thought and effort into this document. Brainstorm the content that will support your purpose and appeal to your reader. Use the model outline to organize your message in a way that's easy for your reader to follow and ends on a strong note. As you write your draft, remember that a follow-up letter or email is a formal business communication. No matter how comfortable you felt with the interviewer or how good a rapport you established, don't be tempted to assume a casual tone in this message. Stay polite and somewhat formal. Think of this letter as the final piece of your job application. It's part of your permanent record. Avoid the temptation to fire off a follow-up message when you're still riding an emotional high after the interview. Your follow-up should be prompt, within 48 hours, but not hasty. Take some time to think quietly about what you want to say and what your reader might like to hear. If possible, show your draft to someone you trust before you send it. Ask him to think from the point of view of the hiring manager and let you know what kind of impression your message creates. Revise your draft accordingly. You may have to go through a couple of drafts before you're really happy with your letter. Be sure to proofread your message very carefully before you send it off. Spelling, punctuation, and grammatical errors can undermine the good impression you've already made. Model outline. An interview follow-up should be no longer than 3 or 4 short paragraphs. Paragraph 1. Thank the reader for taking the time to interview you for the position and remember to state the job title. Let her know you enjoyed meeting her. Paragraph 2. Mention a memorable part of the interview, a particular part of the job where you feel you could make the greatest contribution or that interests you the most. If you have additional qualifications that make you a good match for the job, mention them here. Paragraph 3. Conclude by repeating your thanks and your strong interest in the job. Offer to provide the reader with additional information and wish her luck on finding the best candidate. Do thank the reader for the time she spent with you and for the opportunity to meet her. Do mention the title of the job you interviewed for. Do mention something specific from the interview that you found interesting. Use this as an opportunity to restate what you can offer the company if you're hired. Do reaffirm your interest in the position. Do, if you have experience or qualifications that you did not have a chance to discuss during the interview, mention them here. Tip: some human resources experts advise looking for an opportunity to send a gift as part of your follow-up, not wine or chocolates, of course, but information the interviewer might find professionally useful. If you have talked about a particular trend or idea during your interview and you know of a useful article, you might want to include a link to the article in your follow-up. Be careful to offer this gift in the spirit of collegial information sharing, rather than as an attempt to influence the interviewer's thinking. Do offer to supply any additional information about yourself she might require and indicate you are available for another meeting if she wishes. Do wish the reader luck finding the best candidate for the job. You may feel sure that you're the best, but it's still polite to make this gesture in your follow-up. Do send your follow-up message promptly. There are likely to be other candidates for the same job, and a timely and thoughtful follow-up can help set you apart from the competition. Don't write a vague pro forma thank you note with no reference to what actually happened in the interview. Don't focus exclusively on what the job will do for you. When you restate your interest in the job, focus on what a good fit it is and how much you have to offer the company, not vice versa. Don't propose plans for changes you'd make if you were hired, or tell your reader what's wrong with her organization. If you've discussed a particular problem during the interview, you may mention it, but don't start doing the job before you've been hired. Don't assume you're going to be hired no matter how well the interview went. At this point in the process, you are still selling yourself. Don't take anything for granted. Don't be pushy about anything at this point. Don't ask how soon the hiring decision will be made or try to schedule a second interview, though you may let your reader know that you're available for further discussion. The ball is in their court. Be gracious about that. Not like this. Dear Dean Morton, thank you for interviewing me on Thursday. I appreciate your taking the time out of your busy schedule to meet with me. In your opening, remember to name the position you interviewed for. Dean Morton may be trying to fill more than one position. I believe my skills and experience make me an ideal fit for this job. In addition to my enthusiasm, I can offer strong writing skills and an extensive background in higher education. My detail orientation and ability to manage multiple projects make me the ideal person to carry out many changes you envision. In addition, I enjoy working in a team atmosphere, and I am certain I would work well with the other members of your staff. John's second paragraph is vague and generic. He misses an opportunity to show how his specific qualifications make him the perfect fit for the job. I am very interested in working for you, and I look forward to hearing more from you about this position. Sincerely, signed, John Kuna. John Kuna. The closing lets us know that John still wants the job, but he misses a chance to show what he can bring to the position. Remember to focus less on your needs and more on what you have to offer the potential employer. Or like this. Dear Dean Morton, thank you for taking the time to interview me for the Associate Dean position on Thursday. I remain very interested in the position and hope to have the opportunity to meet with you again. As we discussed, staffing the teaching center poses an interesting challenge. I believe that promoting graduate student involvement with the center would be a productive strategy. It also seems to me that hiring a part-time administrative assistant could take some of the pressure off the director. John seems to have some good ideas about how to solve the dean's problems, but he hasn't been hired yet. This paragraph is a little pushy, and it doesn't touch on John's actual experience. I look forward to speaking with you again in the near future and to becoming a productive member of your staff. Please let me know if I can provide you with any additional information about myself prior to our next meeting. Sincerely, signed, John Kuna. John Kuna. John is proactive in making himself available for a follow-up meeting, but he seems to be taking for granted that he's going to get the second interview and the job. It's fine to display self-confidence, but that second interview has to be earned. The trick is to convince the reader that he wants to talk to you again. Like this. Dear Dean Morton, it was a pleasure to meet you and discuss the Associate Dean position on Thursday. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me. I think I am an excellent fit for this job, and learning more about the school and the office has increased my interest. John uses his first paragraph to reaffirm his strong interest in the job. His tone is friendly but still formal. I was especially interested in your comments about the teaching center. While I was at Emory, I launched an initiative to employ graduate assistants in our Learning Assistance Center. It proved a good way to build on their prior teaching experience and to give them additional financial support. Perhaps Simmons could explore a similar arrangement as a way to augment the offerings of the teaching center. I would welcome the chance to discuss these questions further. The second paragraph follows up on the interview and shows how his experience is relevant to the job he's applied for. This information might make the dean want to interview him again. Thank you again for interviewing me. Please let me know if I can provide you with any further information about myself or my experience. I would very much enjoy meeting with you again to discuss the position further. Best of luck to you in finding the perfect candidate for the job. Sincerely, signed, John Kuna. John Kuna. John is proactive in making himself available for a follow-up meeting, but he is also gracious enough to wish the dean good luck in finding the right candidate. This kind of courtesy and professionalism can create a lasting and favorable impression. Job Candidate Rejection Letter. You've interviewed a number of people for a job and you found the perfect candidate. In addition to the happy task of bringing your new employee on board, you also have to follow up with the other people you've interviewed and let them know you will not be extending them an offer of employment. Handled well, a candidate rejection letter can soften the blow of the bad news and leave the candidate feeling good about your company. The way you deliver the news may depend on a number of factors, including how many interviews the candidate did and what relationship you have with anyone who might have recommended the candidate. It's usually best to convey the news via a phone call, followed by an email or a rejection letter as an email attachment. Introduction. The obvious purpose of a candidate rejection letter is to let a job applicant know that you will not be extending her an offer. The less obvious purpose is to build goodwill for your company. Although the letter may be bad news from the reader's perspective, it gives you an opportunity to show that you behave well and value her good opinion. Naturally, the reader may be disappointed. Be considerate of her feelings. Because these letters are brief and rather pro forma, there is little content to brainstorm. If a candidate has particularly impressed you during the interview or with her skills, you may want to mention that briefly. Candidate rejection letters typically follow a standard format. Use the model outline to help organize your letter. As you write your draft, use a businesslike but cordial tone. It's wise to take a break between drafts and revise carefully. Model outline. A candidate rejection letter should be brief but cordial. Opening. Thank the candidate for her interest in the position and let her know she has not been selected. Middle. Mention that you enjoyed meeting the candidate and let her know you were impressed with her qualifications. Suggest she apply at your company again, if you really mean it. Use this section to soften the blow. Conclusion. Thank the candidate once again and wish her well in her job search. Do send the message promptly. Some people prefer to let the candidate know their decision by phone immediately. In general, the further you've gone in the interviewing process, the more personal contact you should plan to have with the candidate. Do keep the message brief, just long enough to deliver the news graciously and soften the blow of the rejection. Do thank the candidate for her interest in the position and the time she spent with you. Do be direct. The bad news should appear in the first paragraph of your message. Do be very cautious about supplying a reason that you chose not to hire the candidate. Some human resource experts advise not offering a reason at all because of the risk that any statement might expose you to accusations of discrimination later on. Do be tactful. Do tell the candidate you were impressed with her qualifications or with her performance during the interview or interviews, if you can do so honestly. Do encourage the candidate to apply at your company again, but only if you really mean it. Do conclude on a positive note. Thank the candidate for her interest in your company and wish her well in her job search. Don't go on too long. Your letter should be cordial but brief and to the point. Don't gush about the candidate's qualifications. Overpraising the candidate may leave her wondering why she didn't get the job if you thought so highly of her. It can also leave you in a vulnerable position in the event of future legal action. Don't say that you have hired someone better qualified for the position. In the event of a lawsuit, this statement can be challenged and the resumes of other applicants subpoenaed. Don't reveal too much. You are under no obligation to justify your decision or explain your decision-making process. Don't encourage the candidate to apply again if you don't mean it. Not like this. Dear Erica, thank you for coming in to interview for the administrative assistant position on Friday. Tom and I enjoyed meeting you and we were very impressed with your qualifications and your professionalism. Your experience at Weldon's was truly extraordinary. I'm sorry to have to inform you that we will not be extending you an offer for this position. Ouch. After that very warm first paragraph, Erica might have expected an offer rather than this rejection. Although we were very impressed with your qualifications, this is the second time impressed with your qualifications has appeared in this brief message. Sharon needs to slow down and take more time with the message. We have decided to make an offer to another applicant whose qualifications are more suitable for the job. Be careful. You've just praised Erica rather lavishly, so it seems strange you found a better candidate. There's no need to tell her you're making an offer to someone else. You were an exceptional candidate, and we hope you will apply for other openings in the school for which you qualify. Poor Erica feels like a ping-pong ball at this point. If she was so exceptional, why didn't you hire her? Your future applications will receive thorough review. Again, thank you for taking the time to interview with us. We appreciate your interest, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Your future employer will be fortunate to have you. Sincerely, Sharon Bullen. Like this. Dear Erica, thank you very much for coming in to interview for the administrative assistant position on Friday. Tom and I enjoyed meeting you. Although we were very impressed with your qualifications and your professionalism, we will not be extending a job offer at this time. It's bad news, but Sharon gets it over with right away. This is the kinder approach. I encourage you to apply for other openings in the school for which you qualify. Your future applications will receive thorough review. Again, thank you for taking the time to interview with us. We appreciate your interest and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Sincerely, Sharon Bullen. This letter is restrained but cordial. It's better to err on the side of formality than send mixed messages. Job offer letter. You've advertised the job, screened the resumes, conducted the interviews, and finally found the perfect candidate. A job offer letter can be legally binding, so it's important to get it right. Typically, job offers are made over the phone and followed up by a job offer letter, which may be sent through the postal mail, in PDF form as an email attachment, or both. Introduction. The purpose of a job offer letter is to extend an offer of employment to a job candidate. It typically provides the basic information about the job and requests that the candidate respond by a given date. A job offer may be construed as a contract, so it's important to be cautious about the content you include. Your reader, of course, is your prospective employee. Presumably, she will be very happy, but will also be scanning the letter carefully for the offered terms of employment. Take care that the content you've included is accurate, to avoid any discrepancy between what the candidate may have been told during the interview or negotiations and what the written offer actually looks like. A job offer letter should require little brainstorming if you've created an accurate and complete job description, which can serve as a basis for your letter. Job offer letters typically follow a standard organizational format. The model outline provides a structure you can adapt for your company. The tone of your letter should be businesslike but warm, reflecting your pleasure in making the offer. Draft your letter, then check it against the job description. Ask a colleague to proofread it for accuracy and to catch any typos before it goes out. Make any necessary revisions. Don't shortchange this step. Inaccuracies are potentially embarrassing and costly. Model outline. A job offer letter should be businesslike but pleasant and welcoming. Opening. Begin your letter by offering the job and expressing your pleasure at offering the candidate the position. Specify any contingencies on the offer, such as passing a drug test. Middle. Offer a brief overview of the position, including salary, benefits, and start date. You may want to include a copy of the job description rather than rehashing all the information here. Conclusion. Let the reader know what actions she should take to accept the offer. Close on a note of goodwill. Do be careful what you say in this letter. A job offer letter may be construed as a contract, so don't offer anything you're not prepared to deliver. Do include details about the position, job title, supervisor, if you so choose, salary, other benefits, start date. Do give a brief overview of the duties of the job. If there are any special requirements for the position, for instance, nighttime or weekend hours, be sure you specify those in the offer letter. Some companies prefer to send a relatively short letter and follow up with a longer letter that contains the full details and a full job description once the candidate has accepted the offer. Do inform the candidate of any contingencies to the offer, such as drug testing, background checks, or confidentiality agreements. Do be sure your offer complies with federal, state, and local employment laws. Do let the candidate know how to accept the offer. For instance, some employers ask the candidate to sign and date the letter as acknowledgement that she will accept the offer. Do let the candidate know how soon you would like an answer, typically within 5 to 7 days. It's a good idea to give her a weekend to mull over the offer. Do use a template. If you are planning to hire a number of employees, create a job offer letter template to save work and ensure that your offers are consistently expressed. Have a lawyer look over your template, as well as any other business forms you create, to make sure it is compliant with the relevant laws. Do be careful with your template. If you do decide to create a template for this kind of letter, be very sure you review your final draft before you send it off to the candidate. Unless you proofread carefully, it can be easy to leave content in a letter from a previous use of the template. Be sure all the details you're including are relevant to this job and this candidate. Don't say anything that could imply a commitment to employ the candidate indefinitely. Some companies prefer not to include an annual salary in the offer letter, as it might imply a guarantee of employment and compensation for a full year. Instead, they provide monthly or bi-weekly pay information. Don't imply any guarantees that don't exist. If the compensation package offers bonuses or any other compensation contingent on performance, make the terms of that compensation clear. Don't assume that anything goes without saying. If there's any possibility of misunderstanding, make those issues absolutely explicit in the offer letter. Not like this. Skyline Engineering, 778 Palm Boulevard, Long Beach, California 92001, 222-888-0000. August 14th, 2013. Lisa Dobbins Marcus, 9207 Rose Place, Pasadena, California, 91107. Dear Ms. Dobbins Marcus, Skyline Engineering, Inc. is pleased to offer you a job as a senior engineer. We are confident that your knowledge and expertise will be a valuable asset, and we look forward to welcoming you to the Skyline family. Careful. Avoid using any language that might be interpreted as an obligation to provide employment long-term. The word family conveys a false sense of permanence. We are pleased to offer you an annual gross salary of $97,000 paid in bi-weekly installments plus bonuses. Offering an annual salary might be interpreted as a commitment to employ the candidate for at least 1 year. Also, Ariel makes it sound as though Lisa should expect a bonus as a matter of course. Are there conditions around the bonus? The offer also includes the standard Skyline provided benefits: 401k retirement account, annual stock options, child daycare assistance, education assistance, health, dental, life, and disability insurance, sick leave, vacation, and personal days. We hope that you will accept this offer. Ariel should give Lisa a deadline for response and also give her instructions about how to indicate her acceptance. We look forward to welcoming you aboard. Ariel has forgotten a start date. Please feel free to call me if you have any questions. Are there any contingencies with this offer? A non-compete agreement? A confidentiality agreement? These should all be spelled out in the letter. Sincerely, signed, Ariel Dover. Ariel Dover. Enclosures 2. Apparently, there are 2 documents enclosed with this letter, but Ariel hasn't mentioned them. Like this. Skyline Engineering, 778 Palm Boulevard, Long Beach, California 92001, 222-888-0000. August 14th, 2013. Lisa Dobbins Marcus, 9207 Rose Place, Pasadena, California 91107. Dear Ms. Dobbins Marcus, Skyline Engineering, Inc. is pleased to offer you a job as a senior engineer. We are confident that your knowledge and expertise will be a valuable asset, and we look forward to welcoming you to the Skyline development team. Should you accept this offer, per company policy, you'll be eligible to receive the following beginning on your hire date of September 1st, 2013. Ariel proposes a start date. Salary. Salary of $3,730.76 paid in bi-weekly installments. By breaking out the salary into bi-weekly segments, Ariel avoids committing the company to a longer period of employment if things don't work out. Performance bonus. Up to 3% of your annual gross salary paid quarterly. Ariel is specific about the nature of the bonus, its contingent on performance, and about its amount. Benefits. Standard Skyline provided benefits for salaried exempt employees, including the following: 401k retirement account, annual stock options, child daycare assistance, education assistance, health, dental, life, and disability insurance, sick leave, vacation, and personal days. To accept this job offer, sign and date this job offer letter where indicated below. Ariel outlines a very clear procedure for Lisa to accept the offer. She indicates a deadline. Sign and date the enclosed non-compete agreement. Sign and date the enclosed confidentiality agreement where indicated. By making these agreements part of the acceptance process, Ariel ensures they get signed. Mail all pages of the signed and dated documents listed above back to us in the enclosed business reply envelope to arrive by August 30th, 2013. A copy of each document is enclosed for your records. Attend new hire orientation on September 2nd at 9 a.m. To decline this job offer, sign and date this job offer letter where indicated below. Mail all pages of this job offer letter back to us in the enclosed business reply envelope to arrive by August 30th, 2013. We hope that you will accept this offer and look forward to welcoming you aboard. Please feel free to call me if you have any questions. Sincerely, signed, Ariel Dover. Ariel Dover. Enclosures 2. Letter accepting a job offer. You've been through the application and the interviews, and you've finally received a job offer that you want to take. Many companies ask you to sign and date the offer letter and return it to them to affirm that you accept their offer. In other cases, you'll need to write a letter formally accepting the offer that's been made to you. In all likelihood, you have already agreed to the offer and the terms over the phone. Your acceptance letter simply formalizes and finalizes the agreement. Introduction. The purpose of this letter is to let a prospective employer know that you accept their offer of employment and its terms, and that you will turn up to work on the appointed day. Because the content of your letter probably won't be any surprise to your reader, there's no brainstorming to do per se. Simply state that you accept the job offer and restate the terms of the offer. Use the model outline to organize your letter. The tone of your draft should be pleasant and businesslike. Even with this brief letter, it's a good idea to take a break after you've written your first draft and then review and revise to ensure your letter is accurate and free from typos and other errors. You want to start the new job by making a good impression. Model outline. A letter accepting a job offer should be brief and professional. Opening. Begin your letter by thanking the reader for the job offer and explicitly stating that you accept it. Indicate that you appreciate the opportunity being offered you. Middle. If you have not countersigned the offer letter, spell out the terms of the job offer in your acceptance letter. Indicate that you will be there on your start date. Conclusion. Close your letter by repeating your thanks and looking forward to beginning work. Do be sure you mean it. In sending a letter like this, you are in effect executing a contract, so be sure you intend to take the job you are accepting. Do, if you haven't already accepted the offer over the phone, respond initially with a phone call and then follow up quickly with a letter. Do address your letter to the person who offered you the position. Do say thank you. Let your reader know you appreciate the opportunity. Do restate the terms of the job offer in your acceptance letter, such as your title, supervisor, salary and benefits, and whatever else is relevant. Do indicate that you will be present on the starting date specified in the job offer. Do keep it brief. Do keep it businesslike. You may be bouncing off the walls with joy, but make sure the tone of your letter remains professional. It's great to say you are pleased, but keep your letter unemotional. Do make sure your letter is free from typos and grammatical errors. Look at this letter as your first piece of work for your new employer, and do it right. Don't gush. It's fine to express your happiness about receiving the offer, but don't overdo it. Don't rush. You may be very excited about the offer, but slow down and make sure your acceptance is as perfect as you can make it. Sending a message that contains errors is a bad start to your employment. Like this. March 29, 2013. Dear Mr. Toder, as we discussed on the phone earlier today, I am very pleased to accept the position of Marketing Manager for Maryland Organics. Thank you for the opportunity. I am eager to work with everyone on the team to help Maryland achieve its goals. As we discussed, my starting salary will be $65,000. Medical, dental, and life insurance benefits will begin after 30 days of employment. I look forward to starting my employment on May 22, 2013. I will contact you in early May after relocating to the area. In the meantime, please let me know if there is any additional information or paperwork you need. Thank you again for the opportunity. I look forward to working with you. Signed, Sarah Dominguez. Sarah Dominguez. Letter declining a job offer. You've been offered a job, but for some reason it's just not right. You'll need to let the employer know that you appreciate the offer, but that the answer is no. It's just good manners to notify an employer as soon as possible if you're not going to accept their offer, and that usually means a phone call before you send anything in writing. Your follow-up message, declining the offer, can be a printed letter or an email. Introduction. The purpose of this letter is simple: to let an employer know that you will not be accepting the job offer he extended to you. And, despite the fact that you're saying no, a well-written and courteous letter can also help build goodwill with the company and the people you've met there. Direct your letter to the individual who made you the offer, but be aware that your letter may have more than one reader. It may be seen by people in human resources and various people in the area where you interviewed. Don't say anything in your letter that you don't want these people to see. Keep your tone businesslike and courteous. It's not necessary to brainstorm a lot of content for this letter. In fact, it's better to keep it brief. The model outline will help you organize your thoughts. As you draft, focus on keeping a professional and courteous tone. Proofread your draft carefully and revise to eliminate errors and to ensure your tone is appropriate. If you're feeling at all emotional about the decision, disappointed in the offer, for example, ask a friend to read your draft and give you feedback to ensure you're not saying anything you really shouldn't say. Model outline. A letter declining a job offer should be brief, businesslike, and courteous. Opening. Thank the reader for the offer of employment and let him know you will not be accepting it. Middle. Offer a reason for your decision. Keep it brief and diplomatic. This section can be a single sentence in the first paragraph or a brief, standalone paragraph. Conclusion. Finish your message by thanking your reader again for the opportunity and wishing him well. Do start with a phone call, then follow up that phone call as quickly as possible with a written message. If you've accepted another job, you're about to get very busy, so send this message now while you have time. Do be courteous and professional. You may end up working for or doing business with this employer in the future, or even just networking with the people you met there, so maintain the relationship. Do be complimentary about the company if you possibly can without going overboard. Do be diplomatic. If you've chosen another position that pays more, don't point this out. It's enough to say you've accepted a position that better matches your interests and goals. It's not necessary to tell your reader whom you're going to be working for, but you can if you choose. Do keep your letter brief. This letter ties the bow on a professional interaction. Convey your decision courteously and get out. Do thank the company for their offer and extend your best wishes for the future. Don't say anything negative about the employer in your letter. Even if you think you'll never want to work for that company, it's wise not to burn bridges. Stay neutral and professional. Don't criticize the offer you've been given. Even if you think the offer was poor, this isn't the place for commentary. Be alert for passive-aggressive snarkiness and edit out anything that isn't businesslike and courteous. Don't use the letter to continue the negotiations. If you want to use the offer you've received to leverage a better one from this employer, don't put it in the context of declining this offer. Pick up the phone and negotiate in a straightforward way. Don't provide the details about the offer you have accepted if you've accepted one. It's not professional to say anything more than it's a better fit. Not like this. Dear Evan, thank you very much for offering me the position of Assistant Director of Marketing at Greenton. As we discussed, I am interested in the work Greenton is doing in this field of renewable energy, and I consider that work to be very important. It would be better for Todd to decline the offer in the first paragraph rather than leaving Evan hanging. Unfortunately, I am unable to accept the offer. I have received another offer from Elson Energy with a significantly larger compensation package. There's no need to mention the compensation. Evan is probably aware of what other companies in the industry can offer. It was a very difficult decision for me. This is a little personal. I would have loved to have worked for Greenton, but it is not economically feasible at this time. There really is no need to mention the compensation a second time. Todd's impulse to praise the employer is a generous one, but his harping on the money undermines the gesture. Thank you again for the offer. I wish you all the best in the future, and I very much hope one day we will be able to work together when the time comes that Greenton can pay industry-competitive salaries. All right already. Todd's regard for Greenton seems to be sincere, but his passive-aggressive complaining about the offer isn't going to get him invited back. Sincerely, Todd Miller. Like this. Dear Evan, thank you very much for offering me the position of Assistant Director of Marketing at Greenton. Although I strongly believe in the important work Greenton is doing and appreciate the opportunity, I have decided to accept another offer that better meets my current needs. Todd conveys the news quickly and efficiently early in the message. He makes clear his regard for Greenton and implies an ongoing interest. His use of the word needs strongly hints that compensation was the reason for his choosing another offer, but he doesn't beat Evan over the head with it. I very much enjoyed meeting you and the team, and I appreciate all the time you spent with me. I hope we can stay in touch. Good luck in finding the right candidate, and very best wishes for your continued success. Sincerely, Todd Miller. Todd's closing is warm and sincere, and it leaves the door open for future discussions. Letter withdrawing from the job search. You've been lucky enough to be in contention for several different jobs. You've made your final decision, and now it's time to let the other employers know that you're withdrawing from the job search. Sending a courteous message withdrawing from consideration is a way to build and maintain goodwill for the future. Don't pass up this opportunity to make a good impression. If you have been interviewed for a position, you should make a phone call followed up by an email. Even if you've just sent your resume, it's a good idea to let the employer know your status. If you don't have contact information for an individual, send your message to the same place you submitted your application. Introduction. The purpose of an application withdrawal message is very simple: to let an employer know that you are withdrawing from consideration for the job you have applied for. A secondary reason is to preserve the relationship with this employer and build goodwill. A courteous letter can leave your reader with a good opinion of you. This message requires very little brainstorming. It's not mandatory to provide a reason for withdrawing from consideration, but it is polite to do so. Simply state that you have accepted another offer, decided to stay in your current position, decided to relocate, or whatever your reason for withdrawing. Keep your explanation brief and straightforward. Be sure to proofread your draft for typos and misspellings, and revise accordingly. Do direct your message to the person you have been dealing with on the matter. If you haven't reached the interview stage, direct your message to the same person you sent your cover letter and resume to. Do let the reader know why you're writing in the first paragraph. Don't make him wade through a lot of prose to get to the point of your letter. Do make sure you specify which position you applied for. The reader may be running more than one search and may not remember you. Do provide a brief explanation if you so choose. It's more important to do so if you've actually interviewed with the reader. In that case, let him know briefly if you have accepted another job or made some other decision leading to your withdrawal from consideration. Do keep it brief. There is no need to provide a long, elaborate explanation for your decision. Do thank the reader for considering your application. It is especially important to thank the reader for his time and consideration if you have interviewed with him. Showing your appreciation creates a good impression and builds goodwill that might pay off in the future. Don't go on too long. Your letter should be brief and to the point. Don't gush about the job you have accepted if that is your reason for withdrawing. You may be very excited about your new job, but keep those feelings to yourself. Don't disparage any offer that you have been made. Don't say anything to suggest that you found something better than the position with his company. Remember that part of your purpose is to foster goodwill for the future. Don't burn bridges. Consider that you might want to work for this company at some point in the future, or that you might be doing business with it. Take care to preserve the relationship. Like this. Dear Ms. Burbage, thank you very much for including me in the interview process for the security technician position. I would like to withdraw from consideration for the position. I have decided to accept another employment offer that I believe is a good match for my skills and goals. Thank you again for your consideration. I enjoyed meeting you and your staff, and I wish you all the best in the future. Sincerely, Desiree Washington. Performance Review. Writing performance reviews for employees is an important part of many supervisory positions. In large companies that have human resource departments, supervisors usually have very specific guidance about how to write these reviews. Smaller organizations often develop their own guidelines and practices. While writing a performance review often feels like just one more task heaped on top of your regular duties, it is important that you take the task seriously. Performance reviews can have important consequences, including level of compensation, for the employee as well as for the organization. Performance reviews can have a lasting impact. They may remain in the employee's record longer than the supervisor remains at the company. Performance reviews are generally shared with employees in face-to-face meetings. Confidentiality is of the utmost importance. Introduction. The purpose of a performance review is to give an employee a candid appraisal of his performance, usually against previously agreed-on goals. When handled well, the performance review process can help employees and their supervisors come to agreement about expectations, provide support for employees who are struggling in their jobs, improve job satisfaction through transparency, and improve the overall function of the business or organization. Annual raises and other compensation are often tied closely to performance reviews. These reviews are often written collaboratively, with significant input from employees themselves. The readership of performance reviews is typically extremely limited. Generally, only the employee, his supervisor or supervisors, and select individuals in management and human resources have access to performance reviews. There are many ways to organize a performance review. Some companies have sections for general performance, specific job performance, and future goals. Others organize their performance reviews around functional areas in the employee's job description. They may also be organized around the organization's core values or objectives. Some companies devise a numerical scale to rate employees' performance. The structure of the performance review will guide your brainstorming about its content as you carefully examine each area to be evaluated. It is important to take adequate time to mull over the content for the review. Take time with your draft and allow time for revision. Let a day or two pass between drafts to ensure that your language is appropriate and your evaluation is based on facts rather than feelings. Some supervisors show a draft of the performance review to the employee prior to finalizing it. Do allow adequate time to carry out performance reviews, including time to solicit employee input, review your records, and refine your draft of the review. Doing performance reviews at the last minute can lead to inaccurate and incomplete reviews and may alienate employees unnecessarily. Be sure you start well in advance of the date the reviews are due. Do familiarize yourself with any guidelines your organization might have for writing performance reviews, and follow those guidelines to the letter. There can be serious legal implications for not doing so. Do consider asking your employees to draft their own performance reviews or write self-evaluations. Allow them to use the same forms or set of guidelines you use. Employees are far more likely than you are to remember the details of their work and their performance throughout the year, and they are more familiar than you are with the challenges they faced in doing their jobs. Asking employees to participate in drafting their own performance reviews lets them know that you value their input, and it can help engage them in a positive way in the review process rather than feeling defensive about what their boss is likely to write about them. Do review your emails and other correspondence to help jog your memory about what your employees worked on during the previous year and what issues might have come up. Do evaluate the entire year. Events in recent memory stand out the most, but be sure your review provides fair coverage for the entire review period. Do consider the use of both quantitative and qualitative measures. Quantitative measures track employees' performance through numerical means: how much revenue they generated, how many new accounts they initiated, how many units they sold, calls they handled, pieces they built, and so on. Qualitative measures track more abstract contributions, such as creativity, teamwork, problem-solving, and leadership. Depending on the job description, qualitative and quantitative measurement may be of variable importance. Do write a balanced review. Your review should include positives and areas for improvement. Even a problematic employee has done something right, and including that on the performance review will help him feel he's being treated fairly and make it more likely that he'll pay attention to your comments about where he needs improvement. Even the best employee can improve, and identifying development areas can help motivate him to reach new and higher goals. Do be specific. Cite specific instances of good and bad performance. By specifying particular projects or activities where the employee has performed well or not performed well, you highlight specific behaviors for him to consider in the future. Do look forward as well as backward. A performance review is an opportunity not just to review the previous year, but also to set goals for the coming year. Do use neutral language. Describe the employee's actions. Don't discuss your feelings about those actions. Focus on using descriptive and objective language. Do give an honest assessment of the seriousness of any problems. There's a big difference between could improve and will be fired if doesn't improve. Do let the employee know if she is in danger of being terminated as a result of her poor performance. Do document ongoing problems as they occur and refer to them specifically in the performance review. Do remember that employees have access to their reviews and will certainly read them carefully, particularly if there is anything negative in the review. Do design a consistent system. If your organization has several employees, it's worth taking the time to develop a format that is flexible enough to be used for every job function. It is also prudent to use the same guidelines to evaluate all your employees to avoid charges of discrimination. Do remember that a performance review is just that, a review of the employee's performance throughout the year. This means that areas of both praise and concern should be discussed as they happen throughout the year, not just in this meeting. Don't make remarks of a personal nature. Performance reviews should make statements only about an employee's performance, not her personality or character. An employee's attitude is fair game, but be aware that remarks that seem personal could get you in trouble. Don't use language that betrays emotion of any kind. A performance review should sound as objective as possible, rather than showing anger, frustration, or even elation in the case of a very positive review. Don't write a review that is wholly negative. Even if the employee's performance was extremely disappointing, find something in her work you can praise. This is not just for the employee's benefit. It can also protect you against charges of discrimination or unfairness. Don't praise the employee lavishly. Using phrases like, "Best employee we've ever had in this position," can make it virtually impossible to terminate that employee should a problem arise in the future. If you focus on writing balanced reviews that describe areas for improvement and future goals, you not only create a more realistic picture of the employee, you also avoid painting yourself into a corner. Don't put anything in a performance review you wouldn't say to the employee's face. Don't say anything insulting or unprofessional. Sample excerpts. Not like this. Lateness continues to be a chronic problem for Paul. Despite repeated cautions, he appears to be unable or unwilling to get to work on time. His constant lateness is having a negative impact on his co-workers and on the division, and his behavior must be remedied going forward. Like this. Paul has an ongoing problem with coming to work late. I spoke with him about this habit on 113, 226, and 32. I have explained that the counselors cannot begin their jobs until he arrives. He has said that he understood the impact of his lateness on the office and made promises to correct it. Nevertheless, he was late to work again for 4:14, 4:20, and 5:10. Paul must come to work punctually every day if he wishes to continue working here. Not like this. Colette is hands down the best administrator I've ever worked with. She is conscientious, resourceful, and consistently exceeds my expectations. She has materially contributed to my productivity, and I don't know what I would do without her. Like this. Colette's performance this year has been outstanding. She is conscientious and resourceful. Her dependable and consistent performance has freed me to focus on other aspects of my job. Not like this. Eric seems to dislike his job intensely, and I wonder why he stays. He is unreliable, sullen, and sarcastic. He seems to think the world owes him a living, and the rest of the staff are fed up with his attitude. He refuses to show any initiative and will deliberately complete an assignment incorrectly in order to sabotage the program. Like this. Eric seems unhappy in his work. He seems disheartened, shows little initiative, and is sometimes unfriendly. He carries out assigned tasks slowly. He does not ask questions when he doesn't understand an assignment, instead carrying it through to completion, often incorrectly.